Welcome. We're delighted to have Jarrod Emick here today with the Black Hills Playhouse Alumni Association. And this was developed because in a panel discussion, Mark reminds me we had about Hollywood and advising. I guess Jarrod was on that. And the quote I have written down in my notebook is this: "You can't stop me. You can't stop me. You can only hope to contain me." And I wrote that down. I'm like, oh my God, that's Jarrod Emick. And that's Jarrod Emick's spirit and drive. And that's why he's where he is today, because that is underneath it all. So at that, writing that down made me realize that we needed to honor Jarrod, and because of his Tony and his life in the theater. And so that's what prompted this. So today I'm going to, through it's kind of my interpretation of my life knowing Jarrod Emick, I'm going to trace his background, his Broadway journey, his breakout performance leading him to Broadway's top honor, the Tony. And yeah, all the different skyrocketed to acclaim, burst onto the scene, vaulted into the spotlight, meteoric rise, but what I will refer to as the stair stepped in up to the Tony. Because within 2 years, Jarrod, 2 amazing years, you did that, and I watched. So, early background. Jarrod is a musical theater actor. His family moved back to his great grandfather's ranch when he was 9 at to Oral, South Dakota, which is near my home in Hot Springs, South Dakota. As a young performer, you were lucky enough to work in the Hot Springs Area Arts Council Theater, which was built by my sweet and smart and talented mommy, Beulah Donnell. And that's how I learned about you, through the ladies and everybody working around you as a young talent. And you sang in Oleos before the productions began. You were in some of those productions. And when you actually were in seventh grade, you and your mom, Diane, who was your best advocate and took you everywhere, um,
Right.
went to the Playhouse's production, 83 production of Mikado. And as I understand it, at intermission, you schmoozed your way back to the boys, group of the
Well,
boys, and
well,
Scott
there was
Cordes was
no,
there.
yeah,
And,
there was no room. It was just skunk Cordes sitting outside the theater there smoking
ah,
cigarettes. So I mean, I didn't like really get a backstage pass, but yeah, he was just sitting.
he was
Anyway,
just
yes,
sitting there and
that's true.
yeah, no, but I said schmoozed because you did, and you're a
Yeah,
good charmer.
and I
And
did. Yes.
And he told you about the upcoming production of On Golden Pond, which would be
Yeah.
starring Hap Haberman and Harriet Redden, and that they hadn't cast the young male, the young male. What? When I looked up his name,
It
do
was
you remember his
Billy
name?
Ray, I think.
Yeah, Billy
Yeah.
Ray. That's right. And so it hadn't been cast, and so we were in the season, and then you got to come in and audition for Lenny. Who
Yes.
did you?
Yeah, for Lenny and Wayne Knutson, who was directing the show. Wayne Knutson,
Oh, that's
and
right,
Hap was
Wayne.
there.
Right.
Yeah,
So, this is where and then, yes. So this is where I was going to ask you about your memories on Golden Pond and working with Hap and Harriet. Uh, what does that bring to mind in your memories as a 14-year-old?
yeah. Well, I was just thrilled to to be there. To me, I at that time I was like, this is great. I was I was being asked to do something by Lenny. I was being asked to come up there where they didn't have, they didn't have kids my age or up there, and so I was like, I saw it as a big honor, and I honestly thought, yeah, okay, I'm on my way. This is what I should be doing. I was like, I was at like I was in my element. I really felt as though I was in my element, and I've always kind of had an older soul. I guess. So I think I really got on with the people who are older than me. I've always gotten along,
You have.
got on really good with uh, people, and even especially at that age too, I got along with like 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds.
Right. Right. Right.
So,
I love
but
I love I love you, Jarrod.
yeah,
That's right. You came on the scene as a young kid with a lot of confidence.
yeah. I mean, I just, yeah, and when I say that like unstoppable, I was just like, well, you can't stop me. There's nothing that you can say that's gonna dissuade me from doing this thing that I know I can do. I know I can do. I was never, I don't think, I hope I never came off as cocky as I did, like just confident
No,
in my
confident. You
ability.
weren't. No, yeah.
Yeah, is
But so
that,
that's what you really did mean in that quote.
yeah, that
Because I
I
was
was,
trying to remember what was before that and then why I wrote that down because it got me. You can't stop me. You can't stop me. You can
mhm,
only hope to contain me.
yeah,
That's
because I
powerful.
was like, there's, there's nothing that I can't do, and it provided the roots, you know, to my career, in the theater. Those were the roots upon, that was the sprout, that was the
The seed,
sapling, yeah, that was there. And and hopefully, I only, if I as I look at it, I think I got a little too tall too quickly. I had some good solid roots, but I didn't have some time to really, um I don't know, if it pay my dues or anything, because I think it's all relative. It's, for anything, but to get a little more seasoning, I guess, let's say, or to make the trunk of that tree,
a
of
little
your tree, a little, a little,
stronger,
yeah,
wider,
a bit more
birth.
big around, yeah,
Yeah.
a bit more radius. So,
Well,
yeah, that's what I think
in
about. But I think
in the
about,
summer of '83, you were around the Playhouse a lot. I remember watching you watch Hello Dolly. I mean, I could see you out there, and you were around a lot. And so, what do you think uh, you learned? Oh, well, let me go back to this. In your sixth season at the Playhouse, it was what a great season. You played Barry in The Boys Next Door.
yeah.
Cleante and Miser got to wear a Dean Mogul costume.
Mm.
Cable in South Pacific, lovely part, and Hero in A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. What a great season you expanded there. And so my question to you next was, what did you learn at the Playhouse?
Well, like I said, those were, my roots. That's where I learned to work. That's where I learned from different different people there. It's much like, we'll talk about it with Sweeney, but there's such like talent everywhere, and I learned from some really, really talented people. Kind of their process, how they like weren't. I got to watch a lot. You just mentioned that summer. Yeah, that was my greatest summer to date. Of my life at that point. I was like, okay, because that was the first summer I was, basically cast as anything more than, like another sailor, or um, so, but they couldn't. I was finally of age. And what season was that? What year?
Well, it said it's in Dorothy's book because the Bible,
Yeah,
One Man's Dream, Dorothy
yeah,
Delicate. She wrote
yeah,
in his sixth season.
yeah.
So, and I kind of tried to go back and thread it through. I don't anyway.
Because that's the season I met George, though. That's the season I met
Oh,
George
you met
Sanders.
George.
He and I were doing the Miser, and Ron Moyer was directing it, and he flipped us around. Obviously, George is the one who should have been playing Cleon, and I should have been playing the other character that's more like Sable, but Ron was like, no, I'm gonna
Oh,
switch it around. I want each of you to kind of be out of your
oh,
element a little bit, or
interesting. Ron
yeah,
wanted that.
yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
So is it Cleante and not Cleante? I don't know.
Cleon, Cleon, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
we said Cleon,
Hmm. I should have
Cleon.
looked that up. And I
It's
don't
crazy.
really,
One of the
I
one of the
know the
first shows
miser, but not very well.
yeah, one of the first shows I saw when I got into the city with George was The Miser with George.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, Philip Bosco was
Oh
the
God,
Miser.
he
Yeah,
Philip Bosco.
but I also saw Kim Detweiler do it. I got to watch him do that every night. That
Yeah,
man was yeah,
amazing.
he was
He
masterful.
could,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's that's all good memories. Boys Next Door was really powerful, a powerful script. Um, uh, had a great time working. Dan Workman was in that show with me. I I've always really liked Dan's work, um, and I especially liked it in that show. Uh, I have my biggest memories of like, oh, Dan just kicked the out of that. Um, that was really good. I like that. But that show, what was the other one that what did we do? What was the music?
South Pacific, you did
South
cable
Pacific, oh, doing cable.
and
Well, I was
Hero.
doing cable to the girl Angela Rikus, who I think I was dating at the time. So everything was working out in that sense. Uh, so
That's
it
handy.
was like I would have liked to have had a more comfortable position to sing that song in. That's my one when I look back. Larry Life
Right.
directed that show. Yeah, I was
Because
like
she's
bent over, but
right. She's often in Cable's lap, right? Kind of.
exactly, and you're kind of
Yeah.
bent over, and you like your diaphragm's all crunched up. Anyway,
And actually, if you, yeah, anyway, but that is how it's usually done.
yeah.
You're right.
What were
And
the
then
other
you
two?
got to
What?
do a funny thing, Hero, and a funny thing happened on
Oh
the way to the
yeah,
forum.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Uh, Dale Dale Green did Pseudolus, big Playhouse alum. Dale Green.
And Uncle
Um,
Fred was in that. We're going
yeah,
to use a picture of you and Uncle Fred. Yeah.
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 Fred McAman, and that show. What I really enjoyed because let's face it, I mean, Hero in that show, Hero especially, just whatever, man, just do what you're gonna do and get onto the courtesans, get on to like something funny or something really cool to look at or nice to look at or what have you be. So I enjoyed that because I got to watch everybody, just tackle because it's great material, of course, uh, and just to watch, some really talented people like tear apart uh, uh, some some good material, just
Right. It's a great musical in its
nail it.
own way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Wiley, I was thinking too about
Oh,
prior
John
to
Wiley.
this year, you did tons of tech work. You were young, strong, and able, and I know how much they appreciated that. And I think it was Wiley was saying how much he enjoyed having you in the scene shop, which that had to be largely where you were, was it not?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Mark Mearsman, he's on here. Mark was out there summers that I was out there, and I was like on every different crew. I was on Mark's crew, like Mark was always electrics, and light. Um, so yeah, and Mark had really long hair and
Really?
I did. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
wore jean shorts like all the time,
I did. I didn't have
and
any money. What do you know?
ran I think you ran every morning too, Mark. I think you ran. He liked
I
to
did.
run,
I was an
and
afternoon runner though. I've
and he
always
would
been.
run, yeah, and he would run in those jean shorts and Converse. I think he wore Converse too.
I did.
Great.
I had colored Converse. It was just the
Yes,
craziest thing. I was goofy.
yes.
It was
But
fun.
I got to, but yeah, but I learned from people like Mark in different areas, and that's what was really cool about time, all the summers I was there at the Playhouse before this summer that we're talking about, which was my like, you know, as far
Right.
as its
You
breakout
got
summer,
to
for the
really
Playhouse.
act. You really
But
got to,
yeah,
yeah,
I did a majority of my work in the scene shop, but I got to work in the costume shop. I
good,
worked like
good.
lights. I worked the boards for shows, soundboard and lighting boards. Um,
So
uh,
you got your theater
Paint. I
training.
with Ann Mundell,
Oh,
Ann
I,
Mundell,
mm,
who's a Carnegie Mellon like graduate. Uh, um, I got to stand there and paint with her, stand out on the back lawn. She's like fantastic. She's
yeah,
just
no, she is
unbelievable.
fantastic.
And I'm like watching her put hot pink on this set for Elephant Man. And I'm like, what are we doing? And she's like, trust me. She's like,
Trust
and
me.
when it was done, it hit the lights like that scenery. It, it, that scenery, that the paint job and the set design in that show was fantastic. And like, yeah, what we had, but I got to, yeah,
You got to
it was,
live theater and see how it was really put together
yes,
In the way that Doc
yes.
wanted everybody to experience.
And I
And
got a
that,
language. I was able to speak the language of each department. It
right,
was
that, yeah,
really,
which was
really kind.
very important, yeah, in
Yeah.
your life.
So
So,
when you're teching a show, or when I was like teching a show, or would I be like, you have a dialogue. You at least have a dialogue. I
you
certainly,
you knew how to
yeah,
talk the talk.
I
So let me
certainly understood
run
backstage.
on
Yeah.
to then you left the Playhouse and you went to study theater at SDSU. So my
Hmm.
question to you is, and I believe my memory tell me if I'm wrong, but that you left mid-semester. Is that true?
Yeah, my second year, I like left. I
Second
think,
year. Okay. Why?
I think,
What I want to know is what prompted you to just go? What prompted you in the middle of your second semester to say, I'm out of here?
I guess well, it goes back to that quote, that you have me, that saying that it's like,
You can't
and it's,
stop me. You can't stop me.
yeah,
You can
yeah.
only hope to contain me.
And I needed to go. Now there's a part of me too that thinks back on this, and I read a little bit, but I think back on it and I said I should have been like enjoyed the now or enjoyed that. But I was thinking forward, and especially at that time I was like, there's I like this. This is fun, but I think I can make a living at it. I want to go. I, and what it boiled down to is I had like about a 3 year head start on everybody else. All the guys my age who
Right.
wanted to finish college, who finished college, or and
So you could see that, Jarrod. You could see your advantage. And so that had to be instrumental in your drive to say, I'm out of here.
well, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. You
Yeah.
know, um,
Yeah.
you're just kind of riding along. Um,
But I mean, you
but I,
picked up mid-semester, really, and
yeah,
you moved to New York because George had a place that you could, because, right? So
yeah,
that's when you were in Washington Street
Washington Street, yeah,
with,
Washington and West 10th. You guys
yeah.
were on Charles, right? You and
And
Menno.
I was on Charles, and then Menno came later when he
Yeah,
ran the two theaters at the French
yeah.
Institute on East
Oh,
60th. Yeah, yeah, Alliance Française.
oh,
And
oh,
yeah, so we called it the the South Dakota section of New York.
yeah.
Yeah, which was
How
fun.
crazy was that though, that to have,
It was
like
crazy,
four people from South Dakota, like within
right?
a block and a half of each other in New York City.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, it was crazy. And with your hand in my refrigerator, that's the part I remember too.
yeah.
I love you. Okay, so at this point, from that apartment, before Menno got there, I remember watching you live the dream of every New York actor, which was Well, which was getting big time representation, stair stepping your way to the Tony in less than 2 years. I was living another dream, which was studying with Uta Hagen, Robert Neff Williams, Anna Sokolow, Margaret Whiting in the cabaret world. But um, you were doing the getting the big representation, and again, stair stepping into getting the Tony. So Emick stair stepped to Tony. You were hired as the flag boy, as we're calling it, in the national tour of Les Mis.
Hmm.
And I remember that Menno and I trained to Schubert Theater in New Haven, Connecticut, and saw your performance. And I sat there and thought, oh my God, I there's Jarrod as the flag boy atop this huge barricade in Les Mis, center
Hmm.
stage, spotlights on you, waving that huge flag, and I think and that catapulted you into your Broadway life. I mean, there you were, there
Well, that
you were,
that
and that was the
I
beginning, and this was the first step, and we were all ecstatic. So, what did you learn from Flag Boy, Jarrod?
well, I mean, at I, that was, how the Playhouse was for me, like achieving like a really great thing. That was that I'd achieved I was like, this is a great thing. I mean, not only was it, it's a good show, it was like my favorite show, and it's still like one of my favorite shows.
Such a great show.
Um, and uh, and I of course, well, I got out there. You get like 2 weeks to go on. It's a 3 hour and 15-minute show, and I mean, in the ensemble, I mean, you're going from
Yeah.
costume change to costume change to costume change. Um, you're running a track. We are always like, if you weren't in a white hot spotlight, you were just kind of singing scenery. We called ourselves singing scenery. Um, but that was, yeah, I couldn't believe it. I remember calling mom. I remember calling mom and just like, and when you got paid, I got paid on a Thursday, and I got two checks. One was my paycheck and the other was per diem, and I was like, and they're gonna give me two more of these next week. Um, and I was like, I can't believe I'm lucky enough, but this is what I should be doing. I can't believe I'm fortunate. I'm so grateful to be doing this and being to be able to make a living, a good like living as a single guy. But uh,
Right. Your other quote at that time that I wrote is, I made a living pretending.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I mean, it's basically true. You're just kind of pretending for a living.
So the
It's
flag
like,
boy was your first step. And so
yeah.
now your second step, in my estimation, was, of course, Miss Saigon. And you
Hmm.
were the Broadway replacement, or you were his first Broadway appearance was a replacement for the role of Chris in Miss Saigon, which helped you establish your footing in the competitive New York theater scene.
Mm.
And I'm going to read what I've written here. His Chris was deeply human and conflicted. You had a genuine emotional depth. The action was driven by internal conflict, torn between duty and love and guilt, which is a huge, wide range of intense emotions. Now, I know that Alan Savage was your acting coach, and he trained you in what I call internalized acting, truthful reaction, and he helped you build the stamina, emotional stamina to wear the role of Chris. So, my question to you is, how did you and Alan work together?
Oh, I mean, how he was just he was just fantastic. One of the things that he always said that stuck with me. He's like, one of the hardest things you're gonna find, Jarrod, is one of the hardest things actors can find is someone that will tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Someone that will tell you the truth. That's one of the hardest things to find, and I
You
mean,
mean the truth
there
about
were
how you're perceived, Jarrod? You mean the just
yeah,
okay,
yeah. Uh, how this is like, how this is working for you, but this is not.
this isn't.
Yeah,
Got
where most people would be like, no, it's good, because they don't want to hurt their feelings or
right.
whatever the shit is, that it is. Um, but there's some kind of wall. It's like it's why directors work with the same, people. They have a language,
They have a language, right?
and you have a trust, and you have a
And
trust.
language and
So
trust, absolutely, yes.
yeah,
But you guys were able to build the complexity of that character, which, listen to this. Jared's voice has been described as soaring, capable of filling large theaters, true, with enough force to make them quake. He performed, do you know, have you do you remember that? He performed demanding pop arias that bridge the gap between raw emotion and technical grandiosity. Critics have noted his ability to convey, this is interesting, breathless, tragic, grand love through
yeah.
singing and particularly in the dramatic
This
roles,
is
which you got.
Yeah, and this is what it came down to. Yeah, what it came down, and it was that time too. Straight guys who could just sing, who could just belt,
Right,
and that was
right,
that time. It was Les Mis, and it was Phantom of the
right,
Opera. That was like
right,
kind of, it's almost like the Keith Urban of musical theater was happening. Where there was this crossover. Musical theater was getting very poppy. It had a pop sound to it.
right,
Um, on My Own was like a single from
right,
Les Mis.
right, right,
Um, uh, so and Saigon was the same thing. Saigon, and this is what Alan and I worked on, especially with Saigon, because Alan told me right off the bat, he's like, "Well, this character, you're constantly walking a tightrope because he spends the entire show complaining about how bad his life is, and that does get old really fast."
right.
And he said, "So what you're gonna have to focus on is just telling that story. I don't want you to like sit and moan and cry about it. I can't have that. Um, but you got to tell the story. Like at the end, they want it, and they in in the show they called it the breakdown, and it's when Chris, has his
Uh,
big like moment,
right.
and that always infuriated Alan. He hated that they called it the breakdown. He was always like, "What do they want you to cry? What do they want you to cry?" The man, he was like, "I bet you want you to cry, don't they?" He's like, "No, you have to tell that story. You have to tell your wife, just sit down, close your mouth for a second, and you have no idea what you're talking about, or you don't have any idea what was going on over there or what I was going through over there. So here's what happened." And go from that angle as opposed to I can't, I was like, I just,
Right.
it's night and day. And as a young person, I was so lucky. Just as a young person, young people have no control and like no filter and no no experience. And that's why girls like new like actors that would show up in his class, new people that would show up in his class, which was out of his apartment, by the way, and no class was ever that big, but they'd show up first down if they were showing up for the first time, or they were like working on something for the first time, they were new in class. Girls always end up crying,
Right.
and
Right.
the
Right.
guys always end up getting up and stomping out the door,
Right. Right.
because they don't want to think. He's like, that's what the deal is. He's just like, I'm just, and he wouldn't. It's not something that Alan said. Alan was just simply asking questions that young people couldn't, they couldn't understand. He's trying to get them into a certain place. I thought I was the worst actor in the world when I first started working with Alan. I was like, I don't know what this man expects of me or what he's, you know, I think I'm getting this, and and again, after working with him and with the history that we had, I was like, I was convinced, and I know for a fact that if I could get the right material, if I had Alan, I could work. And I've always thought, if given the right material, I could change people. I can change people. I have to, you know, but I need to like work on it. Jack O'Brien for Damn Yankees. I would go to see Alan in the morning before rehearsals,
It
before
was
we
so
ever.
smart, Jarrod. So
Yeah.
smart.
And that's exactly what Jack O'Brien said. He wasn't a director that was like, oh, I can't believe you're stepping on my toes. He was like, I wish every actor worked like you, because that's my job. That's our job as actors is to make it work. They kind of got the whole picture in mind, but I've
Right.
had some of the best directors I've had are just like, well, what do you think? Because that's why I hired you, because you guys are good. You guys are good at what you do. So um, and
Right.
have no insecurity whatsoever. And that's where you got to be. And that's with Alan. That's where it was for me with Alan. There was nothing that he could say that would make me mad or like, you know, like I had I had the deepest respect. I've had the deepest respect for him. The only other person I think I've had probably more deep respect for would be my father. And
So,
Alan is right there, right in that,
well, that's beautiful.
and
You were very lucky to be able
so lucky.
to collaborate with somebody like that. Your portrayal was defined by high intensity vocal moments that often left, this is a quote, the audience in stunned silence before erupting into applause. So you got him by the balls.
Well, I mean, like I said, I was like unstoppable and things like doing Les Mis, and I went right from Les Mis into Saigon.
You
I was
stair stepped, boom,
I
boom.
was an iron horse, though. I mean, though physically, and I'm like, I was 23 years old, and uh, I was doing 8 shows a week. I did 8 shows a week for 4 years of my life right there, and I'm doing, Cameron McIntosh shows, these these shows,
Ballbusters.
I mean, where it's just singing, just all you did was just sing. So I could sing for days, like, and that's what separated me from other Chris's that they had a 7 show option. Out of the 8 shows, they could take one show off. Um, but I didn't. And
You didn't
I've
need to.
never, and I always tell people, don't ever let your understudy go on. Don't ever, 'cause you don't, you
You
don't
don't
want them,
you don't want
you
that.
don't want them to know that they can do the show just fine without your ass. Like
That's right. That's right.
they can go on just fine. You want them thinking, no, we got to have Jarrod.
So talk now about the fortuitous taxi ride while you're
Mm.
playing Chris, I think, and how that uh, changed your world. That's the
Yes,
next step in your
I
three
was doing
steps up to
Saigon.
a Tony.
Yeah, I was doing Miss Saigon in New York, and I started the audition process, and I ended up seeing him about 2 or 3 times. I started the audition process of this production of Picnic that Scott Ellis was directing,
Oh,
um, and so I read for him, and then he called me back, and I read for him again, and he called me back again, and he's just
as
like, I
Hal?
don't
As
know.
Hal?
He was like, I don't know whether I got you as Hal or as Alan. He's like,
Oh,
I can't like where, and I remember it's very funny because it aggravated him so, um, uh, and so cut to I don't know whenever Damn Yankees had a run in at the Old Globe in San Diego, and they were come to New York, and they did not. They offered contracts to everybody, but the guy who was playing Joe Hardy was Jerry Shea, and they did not offer him a contract.
interesting.
So, so I didn't. I don't know the machinations of that. All I know is that they didn't offer him a contract. And he also auditioned for Stephen Sondheim's new musical Passion, and got the lead in that. So I think he did what any smart person or an actor would have done at that point, just like
Right.
even if he did get a contract for Damn Yankees, I mean, I would have
Yeah.
left Damn
Hello.
Yankees in a heartbeat
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do Stephen Sondheim's new musical, even though I don't think it was his best. Um, uh,
But still,
it,
yeah,
yeah,
it makes,
yeah,
yeah.
still a good one. So
The taxi
they,
ride, the
so
taxi.
yeah, so so Jack O'Brien, the director of Damn Yankees, and Rob Marshall, the choreographer of Damn Yankees, are are meet up with Scott Ellis because they're all friends, and they share a cab, and and Jack is telling them we don't have a Joe now. We didn't get a contract, and we don't have a Joe. So Scott Ellis was like, well, you should see this kid. I've seen him like 3 times. He's auditioning for me for Picnic, and he's a good actor, and he's doing Miss Saigon. So he's like, apparently he can sing, like, because I don't think Scott had ever seen me, and that was also the bridge right there, because it's like, okay, are they musical theater actor, or are they, an
Yeah,
actor?
exactly.
Because there's always that, it
Yeah.
was kind of like how Phantom of the Opera cast felt with the Les Mis cast. Les Mis cast was kind of like kind of blue collar, um, and Phantom of the Opera company was like, yeah, yeah, very highbrow, and yeah. So
Funny.
yeah.
So the
So anyway,
taxi ride, just by
they said you should see
chance,
this guy. So
mentioned
yeah,
your name, and that's how you got called in?
yeah. And then I'm sure they found, well, obviously, Scott told them who I was representing me, and they got a hold of I think it was Henderson Hogan. Yeah, I was with Henderson Hogan at that time, and yeah, so I got this audition, and uh, yeah, I was auditioning with Victor Garber. Victor was there.
I love
Um,
Victor. He was in front of
yeah.
me at my Alexander
Oh
lessons.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's he's just
he's
he's just
amazing.
Prince. What a super human being. But anyway, I I it's crazy because I remember definitely they all like looked up when I walked in the room. They all looked up and had smiles on their faces, like
Wow.
smiles on their faces. I mean, even before I hadn't done anything, and I think just aesthetically and from what they heard, they were like, this. I,
This
I
works.
immediately, yeah, I
This
immediately
works.
felt like, oh, I'm in the right room, or yeah, uh,
Nice.
this feels good. So then I proceeded to uh, sing them that what we referred to as the 11 o'clock number at 8:15, and that's goodbye girl. He comes out that door and goes, and it's this spiel, and I swear to God, I
Did
think
they?
I did that whole thing in like 2 breaths. I think I only took a breath like once. Um, and yeah, and I thought if you thought they had smiles on their faces when I walked in the room, after that they were jazzed, so jazzed that when they did hire me, the first thing Jack O'Brien had me do was sing that for the entire cast. I
Oh
mean,
my
I
God.
thought, yeah, and I thought it was a little bit. I mean, shit, I'm like 22 years old. What am I going to say? No,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
you're
going to say no to Jack O'Brien.
not. No.
So, but he
But you
was,
did it.
yeah, I did it, and I think he wanted to do it, and he wanted also to, not only I think to showcase it and put me in a good, foot with the cast, but be like, no, we're here to play ball. We got,
Well,
here's what I brought you. Here's what I brought you.
you were there to play ball. Damn
Yeah,
Yankees is a classical
damn Yankees.
baseball themed
What?
musical
Yeah,
based on the Faust legend, originally staged in 1955 and revived in 1994 with updated staging. Emick played Joe Hardy, a
and script,
star
updated
athlete.
script too.
Oh, and script too? Hmm.
The script was updated. Yeah,
Ah, star athlete who sells his soul to the devil for a chance at greatness in America's favorite pastime. And your portrayal blended charm, a strong vocal performance, and you turned Joe Hardy into an audience favorite, and you did. I was there, and a critical standout. And the whole core of the musical is you got to have heart, and that, Jarrod, you had heart. You could feel it in Goodbye Old Girl, and I knew when I saw that, I knew you were going to win the Tony. I was certain. Were you certain you were going to win the Tony?
absolutely not. But I did.
Wow.
I First of all, just to go back, uh, I I had never seen the show. I never seen the movie. When I started this show, I with Jack and Alan, I'd never seen the show. I'd never seen the movie. I'd never even seen clips. I probably saw a picture of Gwen Verdon, kind of as Lola, but maybe at
Right,
some point in
right,
my life up to
right.
that point. But I thought that was great to really, um,
Not have a
yeah, a
preconceived
clean slate,
clean slate is
clean
smart. That
clean
was
slate
wonderful.
to
Yeah.
like look at it. Yeah.
You were very
Um,
lucky all the way around, Jared.
yeah, it really got in with some really really
Good.
good people, and that people that want to see you succeed, want you
Want you to
to
take it and
succeed,
fly.
and
And you
uh,
did. In 1994, you won the rare Triple Crown of Theater Awards, Tony Award for Best Feature Actor in a Musical, Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Musical, and the
mhm.
Theater World Award honoring your breakout performance, which is totally unheard of. I can't even think of who else nabbed all three of those, but you did in 1994. What a stellar
Right,
year for you.
yeah, the '90s were very good, yeah, but that definitely, I definitely proved that you can walk into the game and walk out with the whole trophy cabinet, you know,
You
and come out. And so there was uh I didn't know any of that stuff, and to be actually, because I didn't even know that Two Lost Souls was between Joe and Lola. They did it between Victor and BB with I didn't even know any of that. And but I had created well, not created, but I had put together a Joe that was not, it was unlike any Joe that anybody I think had ever seen. And I'm again, at that time, like I said, I was like, I have a great coach here that we can take this and put, I mean, a razor sharp edge on it down to the littlest things. Because even working with Alan doing rehearsals, um, you see people come in, director, everybody, it's good, it's looking great, it's great. And then they'd leave, and Alan be sitting there, and he's like, and I'd be, what do you think? And he'd say, well, you heard them. They think it's like great. How good do you want it? And so, and then out would come like just like little like things here and there,
slivers.
little things that you and I have like talked about it. But yeah, I
You won the
I was
Tony,
I was
Jared. You
grateful.
won the
Yeah,
Tony.
I was
You won
I
all those awards.
yeah. Um, my agents were surprised. I mean, not that I guess that I won the Tony, but they were surprised that I won all three. That I got
I
all
mean, yeah,
three.
can you think, do you know anybody else who, I don't, I
It
was
would have
going to
been
look that up.
it would have been
I bet that's a small
Burke
group.
Moses. Burke
Oh,
Moses for Beauty and the Beast. Burke
oh,
Moses. He was doing Gaston, and he was fantastic.
he was fantastic. Yeah.
And also
Well, I saw
who I was with.
All your Tony. Uh,
Yeah,
I jumped back to that, but I saw all of
yeah,
those shows, and I knew you were going to win. I knew you
yeah,
were going to win. I
yeah.
counted on
Yeah,
it.
it was like
Okay.
I
Whew.
felt good. I felt good going into it, and I wow, it's a bit of a blur. It's a bit of a
How,
blur, but
how could it
it's
not
something
be?
to
What a
live from. Some,
1994 for you. My goodness.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so then you had all sorts of other shows, Brad Majors and Rocky Horror. We're not going to go into any of these. Boy from Oz, starring Hugh Jackman and you. Ring of Fire. You went off into Andersonville, the movie. You did regional theater, and then lo and behold, in 2007, I finally get to work with you after all these years, and
Hmm.
you come out to Olympia, Washington, to Jeff Kingsbury's theater, where I worked for years, and a tiny little space, but nice
So
audience
good,
actor space. And
so
here I'll
good.
read you a clip from Wade Alexander's. And Wade Alexander was managing director of ACT Productions, Los Angeles, New York, Sydney, and London. And he loved you and saw everything you did and came all the way out to Olympia and came on a like a Wednesday or a Thursday of the run, the last week, and he, as I remember, he canceled his plane ticket and stayed the whole week and watched every show
Uh,
the whole week. So when I got
he was
his
awesome.
when I got what he wrote about the show, I paid extra attention to it because he didn't just see it once. He saw it the whole week. And this is a small snippet of what he says about that production. Jeff Kingsbury's Sweeney Todd at Capitol Playhouse stands out as the most impressive version I have seen, surpassing productions from Broadway to London. In a small theater with an intimate cast, Jarrod Emick and Jenny Mae Donnell deliver powerful portrayals of Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett, bringing new depth and humanity to their characters. Their chemistry is compelling, offering nuanced performances that avoid the usual exaggerations often seen in other renditions. Emick provides a vulnerable, chilling interpretation of Sweeney, while Donnell's Mrs. Lovett is both hilarious and surprisingly sensual, elevating the role beyond mere comic relief.
Right.
The stripped down production allows the artistry of the actors to shine and creates an immediate and immersive experience for the audience. Having witnessed countless over the years, Sweeney Todd productions over the years, I consider this production definitive. No other cast or staging comes close. Bravo, brava.
Wow.
Wade Alexander. And so who was he to you and what did you learn from
He
Sweeney?
yeah, Wade Alexander worked for AFTRA, and I think for a little bit, but he was one of those guys that just he showed up at
He followed
every
you.
every bloody thing I did in my career, honestly. Um, such a nice guy, such a nice guy. Yeah, but showed up for everything, everything. And I went to his memorial in New York
Oh,
City.
oh, I'm glad you
Yeah,
did that.
they had a memorial for him, and I did go there. Um, uh,
Well, he
yeah,
canceled his plans and stayed the week and then watched Sweeney four or
mhm,
five times.
yeah, and I think that show. I think he's right. That first of all, I think he's right. I think it was a great, a stellar production of Sweeney Todd, and to be able have the to have someone like yourself, really, really talented uh, actress, and like he said too, there was a vulnerability, a humor, but there was also like a little bit of sexual tension as well in it, which we brought everything, and because of that it was that intimate experience. It was right and happening right
It
in
was
front
in
of
their
people,
laps. It's in the
but
audience laps.
it's an intense show to see from the deck of a Broadway stage, or just a main stage, but to have it, because we are kind of a thrust, and so, but that also allowed us, and I you may feel the same way, that allowed us to be very intimate,
Right,
and to
right,
to
right.
let them come to you,
Yeah,
as you like, man, you could, it's easier to pull them in than from, say, a main stage, from back farther away.
right.
um uh yeah, they want to listen, they want to hear. And I've always driven directors crazy, though, for my I'll just stop and just like, and I'll be thinking about the line that I'm gonna say next, and I'm like thinking, okay, how I'm gonna say this line. I'm really trying to like answer that question that just got asked of me. So, but I always took my time rehearsing. Like, I would hear your line, okay, and get like a number, of course, but a scene, okay, that's what you said. You said that. Here's my line. Okay, this is my line, and I just wanted to communicate that information to you. And that's kind of how I like start. Now I don't drag that slow. but directors now,
Uh-huh.
and with good reason, a lot of
Well,
they
that's
will
what, you know,
struggle to
whoever it
get.
is was talking about your ability to really listen. So that's part of really listening.
Yeah. I mean, because you got to hear, and that's what Alan would say. You got to loop it. You got it's not about right or wrong. It's about where you're coming from and what you're doing. If I threw a snake at you, I would get an honest response. You know, you would play an action. He's like, you can't play an idea. You can only
Right.
play an action.
Action,
You can
action,
only play an
smart.
action.
Right.
So uh, uh, how are you going to get what you want from this other person? Are you going to like yell
Yeah.
and scream? Are you going to like, um, uh, but you know, you got to like, uh, he had a great way of focusing that, and you know, I learned that way, and I wanted to work that way. But like I said, some directors it would be like, come on, Jarrod, you know, we got to get it going. Um, but I think in the end, it's worth it. And all those directors ended up with really fantastic reviews of the character that I was doing for
Well,
them.
yeah,
That they
you've
kind
got
of
great
wanted to like,
reviews, baby doll. You won,
yeah. I
you
mean,
won.
and that's the thing. And even Jack O'Brien for Damn Yankees, he was like for New York Magazine, it was John Simon for New York Magazine, and uh, and I remember my agents and Jack O'Brien saying, you conquered John Simon. Like like you got a good review from John Simon. The man like
You're from the
hates
man.
everything.
Wow.
He hates everything in New York. So they were just like it's
Well,
unbelievable.
again,
So
in your Sweeney, you brought a
yeah,
sense of vulnerability and to the character. He was harrowing and deeply human. And every night I thought you were going to kill me, and one night I really thought you were going to kill me, and every night you killed me. I mean, but
yeah. Every night I
but
did kill you. And and I do I I liked the intimacy of that like space because you could make people feel really uncomfortable. You could like
yeah, it's a
and
great.
my Sweeney he had issues, you know. He, he not he
He
not
had
only well
I know
of
that
course
he had
that's
issues.
the deal. That's the deal with Sweeney. But
That's right.
I for him I was like not only does he have issues about his daughter and that whole situation, but he has mental
Hey, he
like
was in the prison for,
uh,
come on, yeah,
yeah, and
exactly. He has
so
issues.
there's a little bit there, not to like make him apologize for it, but you
No.
can see how it affects him. I think it's I think it's one of the best shows ever written.
It's when you get in it, I always say this about Sweeney Todd, and I was lucky enough to do it three different times.
Wow.
Um, and they were all good Sweeneys. They were all different Sweeneys. And
Yeah.
but with you, it I was so excited to finally get to work with you, which was a great blessing. But
Yeah.
what was I going to say? Oh, but once you get into Sweeney Todd and it starts, it spins like a top. I know no
Yep.
other show that does
Yep.
that. There's no going backwards. You are spinning, 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 spinning. It's so clean. It's so neat
Yeah.
that
There's
way.
only one way, and it's
And then
forward, and
forward,
it's
and you better
forward,
be going that way. Yeah.
advancing that story. Yeah, advancing
Well, it was a
that
great
story.
blessing. It was a great blessing to
It
work
was
with you,
awesome.
Jarrod. I
It
felt
was
so
awesome.
honored.
Oh
And
yeah, I loved it, and I loved Jeff, and I loved our cast. I
it
loved
was
our
a
cast for that
sweet
show.
little cast.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
a good little cast.
I know Jeff was like worried, and I would tell him, well, I'm just going to tell him that I just disobeyed you every night if somebody comes to you, Jeff, because I would start the show and I'd have a cigarette. I'd just sit out there because that was the start of the show. Was eventually some of our cast would come on. They're in a mental hospital. They're in a mental
Right.
institution. So
Right.
people, and then eventually I came out and I would just sit down on that chair, and I finished this like cigarette he's like, I don't think we can't smoke in here. All right, well, I'll just tell him. I'll just tell him.
Nobody's gonna
That's,
stop you
yeah,
up here, really.
of course, yeah. And
All
that's
right. Well, let's see. We're going to
cool
wrap
to
this
me.
up. This has been great. I wanted also to let everybody know that you are your other role in life is to be a father to William,
Oh
who's
yeah,
9, and Walker, who's 12.
yeah.
And yep.
I mean, I can't believe I didn't like. Let's see.
And I'll put their cute little faces in. A lot of this will be in the newsletter, the January. Look at those boys. They are so,
Right.
God, they're cute.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to meet them one of these years. And
Yeah.
so at the end, we want to remind everybody who might be listening that we hope that if all works well, you'll be at the Playhouse for the 80th season celebration. And we're going to have a lot of fun. And it is, Mark, come on and join us here for the wrap up. And what was I going to say? The 80th celebration. Oh, and that you're going to be there and the audience can come and talk with you. You guys can come and ask
That's
you
that.
questions about your amazing career.
Yeah.
And and
Yeah.
Mark.
I'll make a comment, Jared. We did the 1993 oral history yesterday, and something clicked for me a little bit. And I think you were certainly, and I think a lot of people about how, with this underlying theme with what the Playhouse has done for me. You know, the predominant or a large percentage of the people that work at the Playhouse are there when they're young at the beginning, and it's so perfect, that magical.
Well, you were
No,
saying this, Mark.
no,
You
yeah,
are, yeah.
exactly. And I hadn't thought about that before, about when it happens in your time, in your career, and how much of a
How
springboard
formative,
that is,
how
because you're
formative
doing
it
it young,
is.
and it just paves the way for a long, successful career. And you certainly illustrate that, but it just crystallized for me out of the blue. And I attribute my time at Augie and the Playhouse as, that was a springboard to everything, because you're so fortunate, and that magic petri dish of stuff that happens there.
Yeah.
And part of it is no distractions, right? You're there in the middle of the woods. It's magical
Mhm.
anyway. And then you're not distracted with the normal everyday
Yeah.
things in your neighborhood or your house or your whatever. It,
And
it's
now
just it's
and now the
magical,
Playhouse
and
gets
it just I
Wi-Fi.
think you illustrate it perfectly, and it's a great way to sort of, I look at the Playhouse that way.
And
It
actually,
is.
you will read what you wrote in that letter is going to also be incorporated and it's largely what the Playhouse did for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what we will be sharing at our 80th season celebration, July
Yeah.
24th through 26th. And we're going to have tons of fun. And please, whoever's listening, come and attend. And you too can rub elbows with the talented and
Yeah.
delightful. And I love you, Jarrod Emick, who I've
Love you
known
too.
since a little stink butt of a guy, and into the wonderful work you did in New York years. Amazing. Thank
Oh,
you.
Bring your triple crown of awards.
Triple
good job.
Crown, he won.
And I see the Tony back there. That's so fantastic. But I didn't realize there was a triple crown of the other two. I didn't realize that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
bring
well,
the
you're
triple
going to have to
crown.
bring, can you bring all of them, Jarrod?
The Theater World Award is really cool. It's like substantial. It's like heavy. Like you could commit a crime with it. Uh, uh, and the Drama Desk Award is like this wooden. It's on this wooden. It's a plaque. It's almost like a print, like for
Ah,
Oh
like
yeah,
magazine. I think that's kind of what they were going for.
that's cool.
These are really nice now. I think I saw a picture of them. They're like this glass that look like.
you got to bring them all. We need to
Oh
see them
God.
all.
Let me tell you something though, man. It's
You're not going to fly with them.
yeah. I'd have to like yeah, because they won't give me no replacement. Yeah. I don't think I
You'll have to
I don't
drive.
I don't think I don't think I flew with them even when I brought it home. What I'll tell you what was crazy is how it arrived to me. Um I thought was like, okay, what the like anybody could have walked in here and like walked out with like my Tony Award. Because how it came to me was in a shopping bag, and like, one of those bags that for like somebody's birthday or something, you know, with
Gift
the
bag.
handles, with the
Gift.
arch handles. Um, and it was in a box that I still have the box. And you opened the box, and it was in the box, so you could take it out and then so yeah. But it came in the box, and that's how it
Oh,
showed up.
there's Meredith. She's going to work.
Meredith,
Going to work.
Bye, Meredith.
Going to new music.
Have a good rehearsal.
It's so
All
cold here.
right.
yeah,
All right. Well, we need to wrap this up. We're right
yeah,
at an hour. We did excellent. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
that was a great journey discussion, Jared. That was
Good.
fantastic.
yeah.
So
Good.
illustrative
You'll
of the
kind of,
Playhouse and its impact on people's lives. This great. It's fantastic. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah,
great.
yeah.
So, in this 2026, that's now January newsletter, see it all again, only with pictures.
Good retrospective. It'll be good. It'll be fun.
Yep.
Exactly.
Love you both, and thank you both.
We'll see you, Jared. Good job. Thank
I
you.
love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.